On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Heavy Pendulum by Cave In. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And today we're talking about the newest album from Massachusetts rock band Cave In. I think
it's hard to pigeonhole, really.
In the widest breadth of their career, it is probably easiest to just call them a rock band.
Yeah.
This album is definitely a metal album.
If you only ever heard this album, you're like, they are a fucking sludge metal band.
But when you consider the rest of their discography, it becomes easier to call them a rock band,
right.
An alternative rock band, something like that.
Right.
Yeah, they have got a very long and quite, although not as long as you might think.
Is this their seventh or eighth?
This is their
like
eighth album.
Right.
They were founded in 1995, which is part of why it's like only 8 albums in, what is
27 years.
Yeah, 27 years. You'd kind of expect a little bit more, but there's some hiatuses in there.
Sure.
They didn't record and release a full-length album until 1998. It was their first album that came out. So, but yeah, they do have a long history and a lot of associated acts intertwined with them.
Sure.
That we'll talk about more later in the episode.
Right.
They're an interesting band. And then I'm happy I've finally found sort of my inroad into their discography, because there's a lot of other stuff where it's just like, but then this came out and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So we'll talk more about that later. First, how are you?
It's been a wild few days.
Yeah.
My 27-year-old, that's how I knew how long 95 was.
Yes.
Because I had a child born in 1995. Her and her fiance came and stayed. They went to her little brother's wedding in Rugby.
Okay.
My first wife's youngest child, her little brother.
Okay.
It's
her half brother.
Yeah.
How about that? There we go.
And she doesn't have any. Anyway, so she went to the wedding on Saturday and Friday night and Saturday night and Sunday night actually. They spent the night at my place and we hung out. We went out to eat. We did fun stuff. We bonded. Played video games.
Nice.
Yeah, we watched shows. And then this morning, did I tell you what happened this morning?
I don't think so.
I'm leaving my house and I'm noticing a couple of papers on my neighbor's door. The sort of crazy but somewhat cute girl across the hall.
Okay.
She had some papers taped to her door. I'm like, oh, what the hell is going on here? I put on my glasses. Eviction.
She's notice of eviction.
And the reason why is because she was a month late on her gas payment of $27.
Yes.
And they said, yes, it reverted to our name. We can't have that, so we're going to have to evict you.
$27?
Yeah.
An eviction over $27.
Over a $27 gas bill.
That's pretty wild. I don't know. I don't know what my thoughts are on one hand, it's like, there's the part of you that goes like, it's $27. Why not just pay your bill? On the other hand, it's like, times are tough.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The neighbors, the 2 neighbors ago, the people that lived across the hall, because now there's new people over there.
Again?
But, the people that were there first when I moved in that were probably drug addicts of some kind. I don't know. Or, alcoholics or some such.
Sure.
They got an eviction notice put up, I'm sure, a while after they had vacated the premises.
Long after they had been gone.
I don't know what happened to those people there. I feel like I saw that eviction notice up on their door after having not heard anything from them in quite a while. So I don't really.
There wasn't a funny smell. A different funny smell. There was not.
There was one time where I got up, and I can't remember when in the timeline of things this was, but there was a time when I got up to do weekend weather. So I got up at 5 a.m. and walked out into the hallway and their door was wide fucking open.
Really?
And I remember having heard some shouting and yelling and some drunkenness. So I guess they were just so drunk they left their door wide fucking open, and I didn't like them very much, so I didn't shut it. I just left it open.
Too bad you didn't know how to like go downstairs, catch a squirrel outside, just release it into their home.
That would have been great. The worst I can bring myself to do is just be passive. Like I don't think I cannot bring myself to be actively malicious to people. That's just not my style.
Well, they say evil thrives when good men do nothing. So.
I mean, that's why I said it's the worst that I can do is
exactly
be passive. If I'm not doing something to help, then the worst that I'm going to do for someone I don't like is just not do anything to help.
Right.
That's what I do instead of throwing a wrench into the works to make problems worse. Even if someone maybe deserves it. I don't know. It's just not my personality to do that to people.
You're not malicious. You're not actively malicious.
I try not to be. Mm-hmm. I guess that's a component of being actively malicious is that you are trying to do something.
Right.
Anytime I do something like most of the time when I'm being an asshole, it's something that I don't mean to do. There are some people who are very willingly choosing to be an asshole. Mm-hmm. And I am usually not choosing to be a piece of shit to people. And there are many times where I'm sure I'm actually being fine. But I walk out of a room and then 5 minutes later I go, was I being a fucking dickhead? Am I coming off like a gigantic asshole to everyone I talk to today? And I get paranoid about that when I'm sure people just go, he's fine. He's probably tired.
Right. Yeah, we don't care. Whatever. Oh, yeah. Kale's in a bad mood. Anyway, I
mean, that's just every morning, though. I'm really not a morning person.
I know.
Because you try to talk to me in the morning, and it usually doesn't go well.
Right. And a lot lately, it seems like those 3 words I hear very loudly come out of the zoo. So, oh, God damn it. those.
Well, we've had a lot, our satellite show in the morning. Has had a lot of problems lately, and it's always the first because it's on, or supposed to be on when I come in the morning. It's also the first thing I have to do in the day. So it's like right off the bat, starting my day with shit I gotta fix.
Right. Yeah.
Is a great way to get me in a good mood for the rest of my day.
Because if you don't have to deal with it, it means it's going smoothly. But if you have to deal with it, it means it's not.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I don't have to touch it when it's working.
Right.
So it's that's usually unpleasant, and I am genuinely one of those people where it's it's the very kind of boomery or maybe more Gen X-y sort of meme of just don't talk to me till I've had my coffee.
Right.
It's like no,
that's accurate.
Actually, genuinely, please just leave me be till I've had some caffeine, and I'm sure I will be much more pleasant to you. Neither of us are going to enjoy this interaction. If you just leave me be until I've chugged half of this.
And I generally get there for like 5 minutes before you do.
Yeah.
It's when I get there in the morning. And then I would make coffee, but I know that's the first thing you want to do when you get there. You don't do shit. You head straight to that pot.
Yes, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I depending upon, I will usually go and set my keys and my water bottle down.
Yeah.
And take my windscreen into the studio, and then I will go straight to the coffee machine and start making coffee. And it's not even because I'm like, there are some people who are like, no, let me make the coffee because I'll make it the good way. It's fucking Folgers.
Yeah, it is. There's no good way about it.
I'm just making it because it's my habit to do so.
It's a utility.
Yeah, it's the thing that I do when I get there. It's part of my routine.
Yeah, and some days I will get there and I will notice like there's a half a pot from yesterday. I will turn on the burner.
I hate it.
I'm like, maybe I'll warm it up and I'll have some of it before Kale gets here. And you walk in the door, I'm like, shoot. And then I sit down and I hear those words. Is this coffee from yesterday?
It doesn't warm up good. It tastes bad. And it also takes really long to warm up. The main reason why I pour that shit out is not necessarily because it tastes bad or not as good.
Because it's not hot enough
it's
now.
It's entirely because I don't want to wait for it to be a drinkable temperature.
Although today I had my teeth cleaned for the first time in like 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it was weird. I forgot about the fact when they put the fluoride on and then they say nothing sticky or hot for 4 hours. And I'm like, damn, that's my whole fucking diet. It's hot and sticky. Everything I eat is hot and sticky.
No.
What, Kale?
No.
What were you thinking?
Nothing.
What are you trying not to say over there?
Not thinking about anything. Shut up. I hate you. You're awful. But did you then go and drink some coffee after you got your teeth cleaned?
Well, here I didn't, but I was happy that somebody shut the burner off, like with some in the bottom. And I noticed I went over, put my hand on. I'm like, room temperature. I can have this. Yeah,
I can chug this and squirm for a couple of seconds while I drink it.
Right.
Like I will drink room temperature coffee if I'm desperate.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Like just I'll pop that open and just chug it, and that's what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
But because I mean, coffee, like you said, coffee is just a utility for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a caffeine delivery system,
right?
And I drink it because it's healthier than the other caffeine delivery systems in my life that also still contains a usable amount of the drug.
You know, and if they decided that we're no longer going to buy the caffeine in coffee form, we're going to buy it in a form that you now have to freebase off of tinfoil.
I might still.
Fine. Okay.
Sure. I might still give that a try. But yeah, it's like when I was in college, my freshman year of college, I drank so many energy drinks, just a ridiculous amount of energy drinks. And it's one of those things where it's kind of a gradient where there's that Kyle Kinane joke about alcoholism where it's like you can be an alcoholic and still feel all right about yourself because you know some other guy that's way worse than you.
Yeah.
And that was me in my freshman year of college with energy drinks. Is just like I'm drinking a lot of energy drinks, but at least I'm not like this guy I went to high school with who drank all these energy drinks every day.
Sure.
And then it was like there's so many cans in my dorm room, and it's just like
what was your go-to? What was your drink of choice?
I think by the time I was a freshman in college, I kind of went through periods. I enjoyed NOS,
which I always thought was number 5.
No, I enjoyed NOS, the purple one, the grape NOS was my favorite. It sounds like grape nuts a little bit.
I'm gonna have me some grape nuts.
But yeah,
crunchy.
But yeah, grape flavored NOS was a big one for me. Or Red Bull, and then towards the end of that school year, it was
tequila.
Yeah, it was just tequila.
Yeah.
No, towards the end of that school year, it was like Rockstar. I think because they didn't have they stopped stocking like the Red Bull and the NOS or something like that.
Really?
Or I can't remember why it is I switched over to that. And then my my sophomore year of college, I was just like, all right, it's coffee now. Coffee now. And it was weird because I had picked I didn't like coffee when I was in high school. I just didn't have a taste for it. And then after graduation, when I started working at the power plant during the summer, getting up very early in the morning to sit through some extremely boring safety seminars, it was like, all right, let's see what this coffee thing is about. And as was my relationship with energy drinks in the following semester, my relationship with coffee that summer was very unhealthy. I would go through about a pot of coffee like we have at work by myself in a day.
Well, really?
I would drink
That's
it.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's not good.
I've had a few 2 to 3 potters in my life.
Fucking yeah. Oh God, what's his name? Foo Fighters.
Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl. Yeah, you're Dave Grohling it.
Yeah.
The man drinks or
at least he did.
Yeah, at some point in his life, drank an insane amount of coffee.
There may have been an intervention
at some point.
Dave,
we
love you very much.
You're going to have a heart attack. Please stop.
You are our gravy train. If you die of a heart attack, we're fucked.
We're nothing without you, Dave. Yeah. It was too much. But like, I definitely had a taste for coffee, but for whatever reason, going into that, there was a little one of those little campus Starbuckses.
Sure.
Right underneath, directly underneath where I would go to get energy drinks.
Really?
I just have to go down the stairs and I could get a cheaper caffeine source. But no, I would go and get energy drinks. And
I do not like the flavor of energy drinks. I taste it and it's like, for me.
Most of them now I don't care for.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I preferred Monster. I really don't care for Monster these days. When I was, although I did kind of, it's not that I don't hate it, I guess, but it was just, it's, I drank so much of it that it's sort of like,
Right.
Do you ever have that thing where you think about the taste of milk chocolate and go, ugh? Does that happen to you?
I guess it depends on the brand. I mean,
then I think about Hershey's and I'm like, ugh, nasty. And then I have a little piece of Hershey's chocolate and I'm like, oh, this is fine. But there's I taste the butyric acid,
right,
that they put in milk chocolate. That's what comes to mind in my memory, even though when I'm actually eating it, it's not really there.
What comes to my mind is I'd like to move to Hershey, Pennsylvania, and then form a little league team called the Squirts.
Hey, the Hershey Squirts. Well, whatever I was saying about energy drinks. Monster, don't really care for. Although on my birthday weekend, when I took a couple days off and then sat and watched Lord of the Rings, I did go and get some Monster for some reason. Or was that? No, that was, what? When did I go do that? I think maybe that wasn't my birthday weekend. I think that might have been, I don't remember. It was some weekend where I was just like, I'm going to be an animal this weekend and do nothing but play video games and eat junk food.
Right.
And that's what I did.
Would you remember what video games?
I don't recall. Well, here's the thing. I don't recall if it was the Lord of the Rings weekend or if it might have been Halo, or it might have been like whenever Halo Infinite came out, or it might have been something to do with Elden Ring. I don't remember. But anywho.
You just wait till you get really old. Then all that shit's going to run together. Hey, remember that thing we did last weekend? Yeah, that was in 1993.
Oh God. But it's I was talking about my favorite kinds of energy drinks. Trying to talk about it.
Sorry, I keep off ramping you.
No,
there.
it's fine. I still, I don't know if I like it, but it's my least disliked energy drink is Red Bull. Really? I think Red Bull's fine. It doesn't bother me one bit. I don't think it's great, but it doesn't bother me at all. Grape Nos is still fine because it just tastes like grape soda, basically. The regular Nos is okay too because it's grapefruit, and you don't see grapefruit being used as a flavor in a lot of carbonated drinks. I think there should be some grapefruit soda.
Great, I love grapefruit. Grapefruit like Fresca.
Is Fresca grapefruit?
Definitely. So is Squirt.
I don't know if. Oh, okay, yeah, I like Squirt. I don't know if I've ever had Fresca though.
Fresca is a diet drink, and you can definitely taste that it's diet. But actually, Fresca with Seagram 7 in it is.
Sure, it's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Sure, it's fine. All I can think of now is the cult in The Boys. In season 2 of The Boys, the cult leader always asking people if they want a Fresca. That's great, by the way. Season 3 of The Boys is.
Have you watched all 4 so far?
Yes, I have. Very good so far. Excited to see where it's going to go. That's always the thing with the show is you cannot predict what the fuck is going to happen.
You cannot.
It's impossible. It's the show that I think has given me the most what the fucks per per hour of any show. Of me just going, what the fuck?
What was his name? Steven? No. Gary? No. What was the name of the octopus?
Oh, shit. Yeah, the octopus. I can't remember the octopus's name.
It's Steven.
It was something like this, something very innocuous and normal. Yeah, that was disgusting. It's funny in a show that involves so much gore and horrifying dismemberment that the most disgusting thing I've seen in this season so far is a man having to struggle to swallow an octopus.
An octopus that he's sexually attracted to.
And that was also, he can hear begging for its life in front of him because he can talk to sea creatures.
Right.
God, that was fucking like...
He's nailing his wife and he's looking up at the octopus in the tank and he's saying...
Talking to the octopus.
I want you to wrap all your arms around me. All my arms?
The Deep is like... He's so funny. Like... And it's nice to have a character that is such a punching bag to where part of you goes like, oh, I do feel kind of bad for him. And then you remember what he did to Starlight and you're just like, nah, no, I don't feel bad for him.
I feel bad for the animals around, like the dolphin in that first season.
And all the animals that he inadvertently is involved in the death of. It's good to see at least one bad guy in that show continue to get their comeuppance over and over again. We'll just have to sit and wait for the rest of them to eventually have some justice done upon them.
You got that text I sent you yesterday, didn't you?
I think so. I'm trying to remember the context of the text you said. Let me take a look. Oh yeah, the Homelander thing.
Yeah,
I've seen that before. Yes, accurate. Where it's how America tells its history. And it's Superman and what really happened. It's Homelander.
Right.
It's accurate. It's very accurate. But yeah, The Boys as good as ever. It continues to be a great television show to watch with the whole family.
No. Do not know.
The very first episode has a man shrinking down to a tiny size and then jumping into another man's urethra.
Right. And then sneezing, thereby losing his tiny size.
And you can imagine what happened next. Yeah. I forgot that character had appeared on the show before. In the first episode, he's seen jumping into a woman's vagina. Seems to be a thing for Termite.
Sure.
But
shrink down and go into genitals.
Yep. I mean, hey, when you got the ability, you got to at least try it, right? Right. Can't tell me that Ant-Man hasn't at least thought about that.
Well, at least the actor playing him.
Yeah. Well, and that's when he, I mean, I guess spoilers for the first episode of season 3, one of the first scenes, but like when he climbs up Frenchie's pants and Frenchie screams, he's trying to go into my ass. The first thing I thought of was all the memes about Ant-Man climbing up Thanos's ass. And everyone going like, that would be... he wouldn't be able to do anything about that. That would be a great way to kill Thanos. Just have Ant-Man climb up his ass and then turn into his normal size.
Does Thanos really have an ass? I mean, you don't see him eating anything. I wonder if
I mean, he has what appears to be buttocks. So, and he has a mouth.
True.
With teeth. Mm-hmm. So one would presume he
has
would
a digestive
have cause
tract
to eat things. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's not really explored. Come on, Marvel. What are you waiting for, you cowards? Show us Thanos' butthole. Hashtag release the butthole cut. But this time, it's for Endgame.
Right.
Instead of for cats.
Cats.
You forget about the point in Cats where they had buttholes.
Right. And somebody
digitally got rid of the buttholes.
So we're going to have to get a guy whose one job is to get rid of cat assholes.
every once in a while, I remember that Cats exists. And it's the sort of thing where I think if in like, you know, February of 2020,
okay,
the fact that Cats existed was like a, God, you know, why are people making these awful movies that don't make any sense? It's terrible.
Yeah.
June of 2022, when I remember that Cats exists, I'm like, fuck yeah, that movie's awesome. I love Cats. I don't give a shit. Like and I've only watched it once, but I've got fond memories of watching that movie.
Sure.
And it's, you know,
it was a good time.
It also is a reminder, because we watched it during COVID, but it's a reminder of a time right before COVID, before we knew.
Well, it was February of 2020, so it was actually technically right before COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Well,
it was really
right before COVID became
widespread.
A massive global, you know, terror versus just being like well, this seems kind of ominous, but I'm sure everything will be fine.
What could go wrong?
If it comes here, it'll just be over in a couple of weeks.
It'll be like a sniffle.
Yes, it's just fine.
But yeah, it's just like, you know, thinking about Cats now is just like kind of a comfort of just like, yeah.
Of a simpler time.
A simpler time with actors' faces awkwardly floating off of their bodies and just unnecessarily horny cats. way too sexual, terrifying, uncanny valley cat people.
What was it that British comedian says terrible things a lot, has a French last name.
Ricky Gervais?
Yes, Ricky Gervais. That's what Ricky Gervais said about the movie Cats. He said, we got to see James Corden be a fat pussy. Also, we saw the movie Cats. Yeah.
Oh, God. But yeah, I just remind myself every once in a while that Cats exists, and I'm like, yeah, it's okay.
There's another movie I'd like to suggest if we do another movie that you probably haven't seen that I feel your life would be better for having watched.
Okay.
It's the documentary Anvil, the story of Anvil.
Is that a band?
Yeah. It's a real Canadian proto thrash metal band.
Are they just fucking insane or?
You have to watch the movie.
Okay. I mean, I feel like that means they're like Lovecraftian insane.
No, it's actually kind of the other side of that coin. I mean,
depressing.
Kind of. I mean, because when you meet up with the band, their singer and guitar player, Lips, is delivering school food.
Okay,
that's what he's doing for a living in Toronto.
He's like a Cisco driver.
Yeah, he's driving a van and dropping off flat pizzas.
Square pizzas.
Yeah, that's what he does for a living now. Yeah,
they're flat and square.
Yeah, he's in his 50s already. You know, and the rest of the band is, and then, you know, one of them's working at Cinnabon. And they're all, and they'd love to get the band back together. And this is sort of the process of maybe we can still do this. Mm-hmm. And it's just watching these old, somewhat befuddled men
try and get back in touch with the prime of their lives.
Right. And it's very touching. It's very turbulent. You see them play to a room full of nobody in a basement in Belgium.
At least it was in Belgium.
Yep. There they were.
It's a different country, so that takes some of the sting off of it.
Right. I mean, there was a bartender. But believe me, I've been there.
Yeah.
I played a show like that in Atlanta with our band. I'm like, I'm just going to look over at the bartender because he's the only other motherfucker in here.
What's up?
What's up? You want a request?
This one's for you.
Man, hard at work over there.
Bartender's just like, all right.
Okay.
Was there anybody else in the building?
No.
It was just you and the bartender.
It was, there was.
So he couldn't have been that hard at work.
No, he wasn't. He was polishing a glass. So we did have our Jason, who was our sort of roadie.
Okay.
He also would dumpster dive for pizzas for us.
I mean,
so he was basically our nutritionist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, when you're a roadie, you're a lot of different things.
You are. You wear many hats.
Exactly. Speaking of wearing many hats, Shall we
Cave
talk
In.
about Cave In?
Yeah.
So Cave In is a band that has, if genres were hats, they've worn many of them. Starting out as sort of a hardcore or metallic hardcore band, originating from Methuen, Massachusetts, or Methuen was probably how it's said, which is kind of a suburb to the northwest of Boston. Sort of, if Salem's straight north of Boston, you just go west a little bit. You got Methuen.
So it's northwest.
Yeah,
It's northwest of
northwest of Boston.
northwest of Boston.
It's the Boston area. Started in 1995 by a bunch of people that are actually still in the band. Founding member Stephen Brodsky, Adam McGrath, and John Robert Connors are all have been in the band since the start in 1995. They've had a number of other members over the years, and a number of them have been members of other projects over the years as well.
Sure.
Steve Brodsky has been in Converge. He's been involved with a whole bunch of other projects as well over the years.
Sure.
So their list of friends and associated acts is extremely long. Also they've just been around for a very long time, so they've built up quite a list of contacts, as it were.
I wonder how often Steven walks into a room and somebody hands him a beer because somebody just wanted to say the phrase,
"Get a brewski, Brodsky."
Yeah.
Here's a brewski, Brodsky. But yeah, they've been around for quite a long time. 1998 was their first album, Until Your Heart Stops. That was sort of I haven't listened to it, but it's described as being a metalcore album, but being 1998, I have an idea of what that would sound like, having listened to early Killswitch Engage and Converge of that era. Sort of that's where a lot of people more so called it metallic hardcore. I don't know if anyone was really calling it metalcore at the time, but
Metalcore is just a conjunction of metallic hardcore.
Yeah, it's more convenient to say. And it sounded like when you say that today to a lot of people who are 30 years or younger, there's sort of a different sound that they would associate with it that's quite different from what you hear from bands like Converge or Cave In or Botch or a lot of these other bands, metalcore bands that were around during the 90s. There's a very different sound associated with it today, although they all exist on a continuum with each other. But their sound sort of shifted through the 2000s to be more of an alternative rock sound. Eventually, they kind of incorporated more kind of a more, maybe radio friendly is not quite the word for it, but they did release an album on RCA. They got major label attention and released their one of their albums. I believe the album Antennas was pretty successful for them. But after they were done with that and they toured and opened for Muse and there was another band that was there and now is gone that I can't recall, but it was a couple of big bands that they opened for and toured
Benny Goodman.
with. Yep. But then after that they were kind of like, let's sort of go back to what we were doing before. And they also had been incorporating some sort of space rock elements, some progressive metal elements. And those are all things that have kind of carried forward to today. This album, Heavy Pendulum, is very much a metal album, but there is a lot of their disparate influences and parts of their discography that shine through on different songs. And all of it sounds, I was talking about this with you yesterday, has kind of this backbone of hardcore punk in it, even if it's just kind of spiritually, because I'm not a songwriter, so I can't say that's a hardcore punk song, but there's just something about this that I listen to when I feel it and I go yeah, these guys are punks at heart, is sort of how it feels. But a little bit more about the history of the band. For a lot of their history, their bassist and co-lead vocalist with Stephen Brodsky was Caleb Schofield, who's the one of the founding members of a different side project called Old Man Gloom. Old Man Gloom with Converge bassist Nate Newton,
Sure.
who is now a member of Cave-In as well, filling in for Caleb Schofield.
Who died? He died.
He died in 2018 in a car accident as they were starting to work on new material, because at that point they hadn't released an album since 2011. There have been some hiatuses. They hadn't really done much in the way of live performances. Just kind of things sort of slowing down and them pursuing other avenues in their life and, pursuing other projects and that sort of thing.
Sure.
And right when they were starting to work on something new, tragedy strikes, and they, held some, benefit concerts, raise money for Caleb's family, that sort of thing. And then it was announced that they put out an album called Final Transmission. And I remember I listened to some of that and didn't really know the story. So Final Transmission, part of the reason why it sounds weird is all of the songs are basically polished demos that were never intended to be released. It was just, stuff that they had put together while with Caleb while they were just jamming, and it was stuff that wasn't really intended to be released as a full album, but they'd put it together, and then this is their first album since then, with Nate Newton on the bass now and as one of the backing vocalists as well. Adam McGrath also provides lead vocals or co-lead vocals on some songs, and backing vocals as well, but they're a very eclectic history, and like it's hard to say that this album isn't eclectic in some way,
but it doesn't sound like it's not a disparate album. It's like,
it's not unfocused,
right? It's not like weird songs they just threw together. It all really works together really well.
Absolutely. Like this is for the most part very sludgy, very doomy, but there's also points that feel very spacey and some unexpected little bits of, in the last couple of songs, some acoustic guitar that shows up. There's a lot of different things going on. Like sonically, I would describe it as being somewhere in a, if you put together like a matrix, and, on different ends, these sort of things that combine, you've got bits of like Mastodon and Neurosis and Converge and like a whole bunch of these other, High on Fire. And like, and there are a bunch of bands that I would already have kind of associated with each other closely for whatever reason, especially like for me, I think it's because they have, there's band members that are shared, or there's, features that they've done for each other where it's like, to me, there is like a link of all these bands that are kind of tied together with different side projects between Converge and Mastodon and all of these bands of guys in their 40s.
Right.
That's the main thing that they have in common is they're all dudes in their 40s that are still killing it.
Right.
It's somewhere between Neurosis and High on Fire and Mastodon and Converge as well, obviously, because you've got a member of the band. You've got a member of the band in the band, and then the producer is Kurt Ballou.
Right.
So obviously there would be a fair bit of Converge in there. And also recently, me hearing Steve Brodsky's vocals, being as a vocalist, having mostly heard him on Blood Moon, the recent thing Converge has put out, being a collaboration with
Jasmine
Steve
Wolf.
Brodsky and Chelsea Wolf.
Chelsea Wolf. Jasmine Wolf. No.
Not she lives here.
Right.
She's a musician in Minot.
Right.
No, Chelsea
I would pay
Wolf.
to hear that. Yeah, Jasmine Wolf with Converge. Yeah, hell yeah.
Sure. That'd be weird. I'd be like, how did that happen? But
okay.
Sure. There's just God, I love the sound of this album.
Yeah.
It's really, really a really good sounding record.
Yeah.
There
are so many elements to it. I mean, and with like a lot of things like this that are, sludgy and doomy, with a lot of sort of that almost that stoner feel you get with like
Sleep.
Yeah. I mean, that's in here. But then, suddenly there's this really, high concept with, these harmonies and
things
really
that are executed with a lot of clarity.
Yeah, with a lot. Yeah, exactly. And just on top of it, you're like, whoa, I didn't expect that. Holy shit, and that works really well.
Yeah, like their heavy guitar tone is very kind of stoner metal.
Yeah.
But then, you bring it in with all these other elements again from their very quite widely varied discography.
Right.
And you end up with something that's really quite special.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this album slaps?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. It's not always the fastest thing in the world. Sometimes it is quite fast, though.
Yeah, sometimes I mean not like thrashy fast, but
by the standards of something that is as sludgy and as doomy as it is, pretty fast.
Right.
I was looking at scores. This is a generally quite critically acclaimed album. Comes out to about 83.1 out of 8 reviews, which is a solid sample size.
Yeah.
As far as, trying to come up with an aggregate of reviews goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it deserves every little bit of that, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite song on this record?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I tried to think about it. Like the third time I was listening to it, I'm like, "What's my favorite?" And I think it's one of the songs somewhere between New Reality and Wavering Angel.
You couldn't come up with a definite answer.
I really like Flying Skulls. That's a great song. What is it? I Want Love. Is that what it's called?
Give me a second. I can't seem to.
My
Spotify
Blood Spiller. I love that song.
Is not willing to load the album for some fucking reason.
I had a problem listening. Like the second time I was listening to it, my teenager and I are on the same Amazon account, and sometimes we'll accidentally kick each other off the app.
I see.
So that happened to me, but.
Here we go. The song that you Waiting for Love.
Waiting for Love. That's
the song you were trying to think of.
Yeah, that song was one of those where I wasn't sure if I cared for it the first time, but like the second or third time, I'm like, this is great.
Yeah. There's I really like some of the weirder songs on here.
Mm-hmm.
I think is Waiting for Love the one that has this actually in the context of this album, it means nothing because I was going to say that weird thing where it's like and it's like. That doesn't mean a lot because there's a lot of that.
I feel like that's Flying Angels.
It might be
Flying Skulls.
Flying Skulls. That might be it.
Yeah.
Floating Skulls.
Floating Skulls. God damn it. Yes.
Yeah. I can't recall exactly. There's also I wrote down for my I really like Wavering Angel quite a bit.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah.
It's Kale likes the long closing track.
Closing track. Yeah.
Who could have predicted this? But as far as like heavy songs go, I really like Searchers of Hell.
Oh yeah.
The riffs on there are fucking titanic.
Yeah. I totally get what you were saying. Was it yesterday or today where you came out and you said each song makes you make a
different stank face.
A different stank face. It's a stank face, but it's a different stank face. Yeah.
Everyone makes you like kind of purse your lips and squint your eyes in a different way as you're just like, oh, it's gnarly. Just about every song makes you do a different stank face. But yeah, Searchers of Hell, as far as a heavy one, I really like. I also want to give an honorable mention to Nightmare Eyes. I really like
Nightmare Eyes is a great song too. They're all just such great songs.
There's not a bad cut on this album.
I mean, there's a couple of throwaways, but those are the 2-minute weird ambient pieces they threw in there.
I also want to mention Reckoning as well, because that's also apparently the first in their entire history, in their entire 27 history, it's the first song that was entirely written by Adam McGrath.
Really?
And also one of the few ones that he's performed lead vocals on.
Cool.
And I thought Reckoning was really good. It feels like a little bit of a departure. Mm-hmm. It's like the only song that vaguely feels like a little bit of a departure for a lot of it, because it has this sort of Western vibe to it.
Sure.
That none of the other songs have. But I don't think it's too far out of place as to be egregious. It's still a very good song.
Yeah.
But it's just far as like what song is the most out there, or at least fits in the least with the other ones. It's Reckoning, but that doesn't make it bad. In fact, I like it quite a lot. And then Wavering Angel continued. There's we've got acoustic guitar on Reckoning, and then more of it on Wavering Angel, where
Right.
you start out with this very moody and very very sad sort of opening, and then eventually
builds.
turns into
Yeah.
this huge epic that to me was very reminiscent of something like oh shit, what's the I literally listened to it today. Hearts Alive by Mastodon.
Sure.
Is what comes into mind with that big riff at the end. And although they did do the thing, one of the things that I love Mastodon for is that they don't fade out.
Right.
They did do the fade out of the last song, the big riff, and it's,
Sure.
I'm not, it doesn't ruin the song for me,
No.
but I'm not a fan of that because I know that there are bands out there who can finish it, who can, all right, and boom, it's over with.
There are appropriate times for that.
There are. It's just, it's hard for me to think when I'm hearing a song like that, for me to not think like, but what if they just finished the riff and ended the song instead of having it fade out? And it's in the back of my head and I can't let go of it, because I also know if they perform that song live, they would do something like that. It'd be maybe a bit of a tall order to perform that song live, but
Sure.
it's been done before. Dream Theater does concerts, so it's like, bands can do that shit. It's like a fucking, I mean, it's an opposite situation of a song that is quite short, but like the way that Slayer typically ends Rain in Blood, or would end Rain in Blood when
With the storm. Yeah.
I think usually
and feedback.
when they perform it live, it usually I think they have some kind of, if I remember watching a live video, usually instead of just like the completely random cutoff in the storm music, they usually have some sort of musically more satisfying resolution to it. I think it is still abrupt, but it's not, the mid-beat storm crash. Like,
with those very precise guitar solos.
Yeah,
in there.
incredibly precise guitar solos,
Which I've always thought were very appropriate for Slayer.
It wouldn't be Slayer without them.
Right, yeah.
That's it's part of what makes Slayer Slayer.
Chaotic guitar solos.
They're supposed to sound like that. I don't think either Kerry King or
Jeff Henneman.
Yeah, Jeff Henneman. I don't think either of them got done recording those guitar solos thinking like, oh, yep, I wrote that perfect. Real glad I really wrote that guitar solo and really planned it out. No, they just went off the feeling and what was appropriate for the tone.
I mean, they played the same guitar solo, when they played the song again live.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't change it. They were just doing some random shit. It was.
Yes, more or less. Although I do remember seeing a video where someone pointed out that it seems like over the years, Carrie kind of forgot how to play the solo for, I don't think it was Rain in Blood. I think it might've been something.
Might have been, Angel of Death, or
I think it was either Angel of Death or Rain in Blood, where someone was like, I think Carrie might have forgotten how to play this, or has just decided he didn't want to play it the way it was on the album anymore, which is also, if you're doing that with anything on a metal song, you do it with a guitar solo, because they're the things that are probably easiest to change. As long as it's something that still musically works, go ahead and change it. Like, it's your guitar solo. I enjoy it when musicians take some time to improvise with stuff like that, because that's, I think, a part of talent as well. It shows off a bit of talent. I remember it was, I'm doing so bad with names tonight. The keyboard, Jordan Rudess from Dream Theater was talking about, how he learned to play keyboard and piano and whatnot, and how he had a piano teacher where he went from, learning and then went to some other piano teacher where he began to improvise, and they're like, no, stop it. And on one hand, it's like, why would you staunch someone's musical creativity like that when what you're doing is trying to teach them and like show, like, you've clearly just seen, oh wow, this student is already very talented. I'm going to tell them to fucking stop it. How dare you improve upon this and show off your talent? Like, musical improvisation is so impressive to me, a person who has never been able to play an instrument.
But the truth is, his music teacher was kind of right, because
that is the other hand.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But before you do the improvising, I'm glad you can do improvising.
Yes.
But you need to learn how to do this first.
Exactly.
You got to learn how to read the music properly and reproduce it on the instrument.
Yes. I think part of the story was also that it was that part wasn't explained aloud because it was, you know, the 70s.
Sure.
And I'm just picturing piano teachers in the 70s not being pleasant.
Oh, with a ruler, and they'd smack your knuckles if you did something wrong.
Yeah.
Because we were all taught music by nuns in the 70s.
Back in the 70s. I'm trying to remember if in that interview it may have been a nun. I might be making that up.
Yeah.
Just, you know, go with the stereotype. Why not? The piano teacher nun. What medal are you bestowing upon Heavy Pendulum? Which, by the way, the title song is also very good.
Oh, yeah.
The title
Very
song,
good.
Heavy Pendulum, is very good.
Yes.
What medal are you bestowing upon Heavy Pendulum by Cave In, like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
Well, considering I listened to it for the podcast and then I listened to it twice more because I wanted to.
I see.
And I'm going to listen to it again probably when I get home.
Yes.
It's fucking gold.
Yeah, this is a gold. This is a Goldie right here. This is a Goldie Hawn right here. For some reason. That's just what popped into my head. This is a gold.
It's a gold in my air. Yeah.
Any other ones?
It's
a Golden Girls.
It's a Golden Girls. Yes, it's a Tracy Gold. It's a Billy Gould.
All right, you're running out of them. You're running out of steam. So what album do you want to talk about next week?
I'd like to talk about, because we had such a doom feel with this, which I enjoyed.
Yes.
I thought let's go to the Big Four.
Let's go to the Big Four.
Let's go back to 1990 and talk about the fourth album by the band Trouble. Their self-titled album from 1990.
Trouble.
On Deaf American Records.
Trouble.
No.
Not that?
No.
Okay. And also not the board game?
You know what? If you want, I will bring that along. I have it. And we can make that really fucking annoying sound through the entire goddamn podcast.
I'm having a flashback to being viciously beaten in that game over and over and over again by my dad and siblings.
Sure.
I do not understand how in a game where your moves are determined by the roll of an incredibly annoying sounding die, I don't understand how it's possible for me to lose 8 times in a row. I don't get it. I will never not be angry about that game.
That and sorry.
As well.
Sorry.
Board games in general are not fun to play with my dad because he's very good at them.
And he's very competitive.
Yes. Well, okay, I think he secretly is, but it's that sort of thing where he just always wins, but he just looks like he's just having a good time. He doesn't really care. It's like, I want him to be competitive because then it feels like he's trying to beat me.
Right.
At this point, he's beating me like he's exerting no effort, and it's insulting.
I really hope that someone takes this out of context.
My dad keeps beating me.
He beat me.
He's not even trying.
He looked like he was enjoying it.
It's not funny, but it is. It shouldn't be funny, but it's really funny for some reason. All right. Well.
All right.
While I guess go to therapy or something.
or curl up in the fetal position under the table.
You can find us on Facebook and Twitter and also on YouTube as well as a place to listen to us. Other places to listen to us include the Apple Podcast app service, or Libsyn. Download the podcast source onto your phone to get it straight from them.
The horse's mouth,
as it were. So anyway, until you hear from us again, I was about to do my radio sign off.
I'm Kel Borner.
Yes.
Your mama.
I did your mama. Until you hear from us again, thanks for listening to the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.
That was way too much.